Hello, I am R.E. Lewin and I have put out a series of books called The Children of Pisces, and they all have a different title for which part they are. So part 1 is the 2 pendants, part 2 is the crystal earrings, part 3 is the crystal cube, part 4 is the return of Thalen, and part 5 will come out next year in 2025. This is a video I've put together for schools. Now, I'm happy to come to schools and to do a talk and a debate. I'm happy to talk about the difference between writing technical documents, which I do for my IT life. So as a project manager and a business analyst, I do a lot of IT documents and technical authoring, and I have done in the past for many different projects. So I can talk about the difference between fiction and non-fiction writing and technical authoring, and I can discuss the pros and cons and the differences between those two fields. And I can also talk about the Children of Pisces series and how I've had the brilliant support of my twin son and daughter, who first learned about the series I wrote a decade ago when they were in the first lockdown, when they were aged 10 in year 6. They loved it, their friends loved it. They've since gone on to edit scenes and build them. So for example, my daughter is a big anime fan, so she was like, I need an anime character in here. So we worked on that. My son said, you know, all your fight scenes are about the hybrids being the heroes. He said, but I actually like the human teenage boy and I want him to be the hero. So he created a monster and a fight scene with me in book 2 so that Jax could be a hero. And I made because I wrote book 1 when I was pregnant with the twins and I knew I had a boy and a girl coming, I wanted my books to be age and gender neutral. I wanted everybody to enjoy it. I was actually getting to the point where I was really sick of either female heroine characters, protagonists, who I just felt they were being put down. I didn't feel like they were actually being respected in their roles. Or a lot of books were about the male being the lead and whether or not the girl kissed him. And I didn't like how females were demeaned, especially in science fiction sometimes, but actually throughout our culture. So I wanted my book to appeal to everybody, regardless of their age or their gender. And I made it inclusive and I made it for everybody. Because it's really hard for me now to go to the cinema with both my son and daughter and watch something together. The first thing we're able to watch in years is Dune. So we're all really excited about Dune 2 coming out and we're all going to watch that this weekend. We haven't been able to watch a movie together for ages because neither of them will watch the same one. So with my writing, I wanted it to be inclusive for everyone, no matter what their age is. And my daughter has made me edit it and make it really relevant to today, because I wrote it over a decade ago, and also to make it up to date and modern. And my son has helped from a male perspective, where I said no boy would say that, Mom. I'm like, okay. And then also a politically correct perspective. So they have been amazing, and as a single mom I would never have been able to do these books if it wasn't for their support and help. Likewise, I wanted to involve them because then they got work experience. They learned tools that they could use in their future. So by helping to market my books, by looking up libraries, schools in the area, things like that, they were then able to learn those skills. And I said to them, when you finish your GCSEs, you're going to need to do this for either work experience or a job or whatever you want to do. You're going to have to go through people's websites, look at who to contact and how to contact them, and then email them. So it's all skills that they are able to benefit from. So I've really enjoyed doing it with my children. Why are schools going to be interested in the Children of Pisces series? Now, it's inclusive, as I've already said. It's coming of age and identity crisis. And that's not just from a hybrid position, you know, as to whether they are half alien, half human. It's also how do you survive as a teenager, as a young child in a post-pandemic dystopian future? You know, if you think of the COVID issue that we had, they gave all the vaccines to the elderly. Now, in The Children of Pisces, which I wrote a decade before COVID, by the way, just so we're clear, realistically, if I was a leader of a nation and there was a nasty virus coming around the corner, I would do what I did in the Children of Pisces series. I would protect and vaccinate the youngsters. And you've got to balance that risk with anything that's quickly developed and new with the risk of that virus that is coming in. So the Children of Pisces shows you what a vaccine should be. And in the Children of Pisces, the vaccine saved the children, but they couldn't create enough in time. It was a rapid virus. So what they did, which is what I would suspect should be the normal thing to do, is vaccinate the younger generations before the older generations, because what you don't want to be left with is a generation of elderly who can't procreate anymore. They can't recreate the younger generation that's been wiped out by a nasty virus, and then who's going to look after them? So you have to protect the younger generation first. They are our leaders of tomorrow, and they are the ones who need to be looking after the future of tomorrow. So one of the debates that can come up in our book, in my series, is by enforcing lockdown and creating anxiety, mental health issues or anything like that, is that protecting our younger generation? Would you vaccinate the younger or the elder first? And you know, how do you deal with this identity crisis? So in my series, there's not enough adults to look after the children, so they are in orphanage schools, and they are then trained to go into the Navy, the Air Force and the Army and that, because they have no families to go to. So how do we deal with this identity crisis and growing up after a pandemic? We have a taste of it at the moment, but what if it was more extreme, and what if another one comes later on that's a little bit more serious and does impact the younger generation? So it also talks about you know, not feeling like other children, which is really relevant in this day and age, because a lot of our youth today, from a spiritual perspective, as I am an energy healer, you know, like Star Wars, at one with the Force and all that, if we look at it that from a soul level, we don't have a gender, you know, and if you believe in reincarnation, then you believe that you've come back as a man and a woman multiple times. But our souls are angelic beings around us, and they don't have a gender. So our youths today, more genderless, because they are more in touch with their true self. You know, why should we have a gender? Genders are put upon us by society. So it's a really good, thought-provoking place to discuss these changes. So my series provokes these debates. It also talks about sustainable eating and climate change, because the aliens who are after our planet have lost their planet because of that, but they claim to know how to stop our planet from going through climate change and being annihilated. So we talk about eating insects. You know, there's not many adults around to do farming and do all the animals, so it's just not going to happen. So everyone, if you want protein, you've got to eat insects, unless you're rich. The elite can have land and can have chicken and some meat, but for the most part, everybody is sustainably eating. So it poses questions on that level too. Is it realistic? Is what I've put in my book realistic? I don't know, you tell me. It also allows us to talk about alien existence, discussions about space and the possibilities of life on other planets. I love listening to Elon Musk and what he thinks. I like his idea of cyanobacteria on Mars and recreating an atmosphere using bacteria. So it's thought-provoking in that place. Is it possible that there's a galactic federation? Is it possible that there are aliens? Or is it just a fantastic imagination that many people have come up with? On that question, at the Science Fiction Convention, I will be covering a panel and talk about gods in science fiction. And there's a question on there about Thor from Marvel. So you tell me, the Marvel character Thor, is he a god or is he an alien? It's an interesting question, isn't it? How do we differentiate between what a god and what an alien is? Einstein used to meditate and get incredible answers down through his meditations. But the question is, where did those answers come from? Did they come from God, or did they come from aliens, or did they come from God via angelic beings, you know. It's a really interesting concept. And I asked my children, and one of them said, well, in the Marvel character, Thor is definitely a god. And the other one said, no, he's on another planet, so he's an alien. I'm like, is there a difference? So I will be talking on a panel about gods in science fiction. And I'm actually going to go in on the attitude that are gods and aliens truly different? It's an interesting concept. It depends on your view of gods. So if you think God is universal, the universe, then he's neither an alien nor a god. But if you're a person who believes in Greek gods and goddesses, then that's different still. And if you're religious, then that's different still. So it's a very fascinating concept, and you could talk about that for hours, and I could too. So it pours in ideas of that too. Also, the books travel around a lot to different parts of the world, so there's a lot of education on animals and different parts of the planet. And also, if I came in for a talk, I could talk about self-publishing, why somebody like me may self-publish. I did go with a publisher to begin with, and I think the way of the future is to self-publish. You look at singers and artists, everybody is reclaiming their art. We don't want large corporations to earn from our creativity anymore. We want to own it ourselves. And also, it's really hard to sell novels, even if you're with a traditionally published author, and they tell you to change characters or change the sex of a character or to delete a character or put you under pressure for deadlines because it's very business orientated. And I wrote to escape my corporate life. I'm a project manager and business analyst at the moment. I've done IT training, I've done IT support. So I have a big computer science IT background. I'm very analytical. I need science behind everything I believe in. And I wanted my writing to be an escape from that corporate world. It's my pleasure. It's fun. I enjoy it. And I just felt from watching other traditionally published authors that I knew and how it wasn't what I wanted. What they had was not nice. I didn't like it. And I just thought, I don't want my spirit or creativity taken away. So I can talk more about that. And also inspiring the imagination of our leaders of tomorrow. Now, because I'm a woman in tech and I work in IT, I know, and you can look up research on this, that when you are on technology too long, even just social media on your phone, it changes the shape, the physical shape of your frontal cortex, your brain. So if you are addicted to gaming, it is going to change your brain physically, and it's irreparable. Just like somebody who takes drugs or an alcoholic, you will damage your brain long term using things that are not good for your brain. So what I've worked on with my children is teaching them to use technology for their benefit and not let technology use them. Massive difference. And all these corporations, you only have to watch things like The Social Network, they encourage you. They spend millions on marketing experts on how to keep you addicted to your phone or to a game or to whatever. It is shocking. And by the way, the Children of Pisces would make a brilliant game. Just saying. And so it changes that. So I encourage everybody, try and put your tech down, pick up a book, build up that imagination again. Your brain is a fantastic tool. Use it or lose it. And if you don't use your brain, you are going to lose your brain. So when you read and when you write, it uses a different part of your brain. It encourages your imagination and it makes you be able to think outside of the box. If you have constant dopamine hits and blue screen from technology, it changes the way your brain works. So I'm happy to come in and talk about that as well. But I really like to inspire everybody of every age. Make sure you are using your brain to be imaginative. One of the nicest things in my life is my imagination. I love it. I really have been such an imaginative person, and I'm so grateful for all the writing and work that I've done. So if you are interested in having me come in and talk at your school, I don't do many events because I do work full time, and I'm lucky if it's just 40 hours a week. Plus I have my children to look after, and I have to support them through their GCSEs and then their A-levels. Then they both want to go off to university. So I don't have a huge amount of time, but message me, and if I can fit you in, then I would love to. And if I can't fit you in, I hope this video gives you some inspiration and have a think about whether my books could help you in your schools, or if you could support me as a writer in your schools for your children, and just put the posters up or let people know that these exist, because they are fun. And I've heard from libraries and English teachers around me already that it is getting the boys reading again in secondary school. It is getting older. Men I work with in IT are enjoying it, adult men, and women I work with and parents of my children's friends are enjoying it. So I have grandparents reading it with their grandchildren, children as young as 8, and people as old as you can get. It's fantastic. And I wrote it for me, I wrote it for my children, and I wrote it so that we can read it together. So I hope you found this helpful and inspirational, and please feel free to ask questions on this video. You should be able to find it easily because I'm linking this on my website. And then if you go to the YouTube link, you should be able to put some questions underneath this, and I'm happy to answer as many questions as I can. And if you're going to any of the science fiction conventions that I go to, I keep an eye out for what events I go to. It would be lovely to meet you in person. So I look forward to hearing from you soon, and have an absolutely wonderful time at school. Enjoy it. It's not an easy time in your life, but it does set a foundation for what comes next. And if you are finishing or you've left secondary school, college and university and life after that is quite exciting, because you just become an adult and you can do what you want. But be sensible, don't use technology too much, read, and have your brain just really embrace everything about your imagination. One of the best things with reading is it's a really healthy form of escapism, same as exercise, and you get far better hormonal and dopamine hits doing that than anything else. So I really hope you enjoy this video and have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care.